The NBA playoffs start April 16th, and with the play-in games, there are now 20 teams vying for the NBA championship. The 2022 playoffs give you up to 9 weeks of action, with game number 1 of the NBA Finals not even tipping off until June 2nd. Last year, the NBA playoff package was listed for $249, but we've made it even better this year by lowering the entire 9-week playoff package to $199. While the early bird catches the worm may be a cliche, but it holds true to this incredible offer. The first 99 customers can use the coupon code FIRST99 and save an additional $50 off the playoff package, dropping the price down to $149. That's right, 9 weeks of NBA action for $149. That's under $17 per week. Act fast to use code FIRST99, as only the first 99 customers can use this code.
Welcome into First Pitch, WagerTalk's premier MLB betting show for Wednesday, April 13th. We're breaking down the games on today's card. I am Drew Martin, joined by Adam Trigger and Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com, going around the horn here at Top Flight SI on Twitter. Adam Trigger with a play up at WagerTalk.com for tonight. Trig, welcome in, man. How you feeling?
Start to the MLB season. I have a 5% play going tonight. And I get to chat baseball with two of my favorite guys. So it couldn't be better. Looking forward to breaking down the card.
Hey, good to see you in positive mood here, Trig. I lost a big underdog near plus 150 in a bottom of the ninth walk-off. So tough night for me, man. But I'm ready to bounce back with you boys this morning. And likewise, back at you, man. Excited to break these games down with you. Another guy here, Tijuana. Tony by some, Tony Finn to others. Check him out at WagerTalk.com as well. Tony, happy Wednesday morning to you, buddy.
Right back at you. It's a wonderful day. You know, my mantra, I woke up, it's a good day. Let's pick some winners.
Let's pick some winners, and let's head to the state of Florida for our first game here in a battle of the Oakland A's, Tampa Bay Rays here, Trig. I guess we could say battle for the two worst ballparks in all of MLB. This one will be, in my opinion, the worst ballpark. But hey, it's a heck of an organization, what they're able to do with the dollar. They got McClanahan on the hill, former first rounder, the USF Bull there, versus the 29-year-old Dominican Frankie Montes. Huge minus price here for the Rays at home. We're seeing a minus 180, Trig. Total of 7.5. Low total, minus 180. That always makes me look towards the dog. But interested in your thoughts here. You think the Rays are worthy of this high price tag?
No, Drew, I don't. I kind of agree with you. That made me look toward the dog as well. And I agree with you on one other thing. Tropicana Field, I was there for a playoff game last year. Not a great ballpark. I've been to regular season games at Fenway that were better than the playoff game at the Trop. But let's go back to this game. McClanahan, to me, is a little overpriced here. And I think the Rays in general have been kind of overpriced all season. You know, McClanahan's got great stuff, young kid. He does struggle with command a little bit, at least he did last year. We'll see if he can clean that up a little bit this year. And just going back to this series last year, every one of these games was close. All 7 games in the series were essentially close games. They were all decided by 3 runs or less. On either way, you go to the first 2 games of this series, the A's won big in the opener, and then last night's was a 9-8 sort of barn burner right back to the close game. So the way I kind of look at this one, and the way I would bet it if forced to bet this game, would be to take the A's on the run line. It's rare that you get a run line visitor at a price that you can bet in Major League Baseball. That's not like a huge sort of like underdog. And in this case, you can get the A's. I think it's minus 130 at the plus 1.5. And what the plus 1.5 does when you do it with the visitor is it forces your opponent, in this case the Rays, to beat you by margin in essentially 8 at-bats. So I like A's plus 1.5 here. I do see the low total. I do think the Rays are a little bit overvalued. And you know what? The Oakland A's, at the end of the year, they might very well be the worst team in baseball, but they've had to hear about that going into this season, and they kind of remind me of the Rangers of last year. where the bottom's probably going to fall out with this team at some point with just the lack of of guys, like major league caliber guys. But, you got Frankie Montas here. They're playing hard right now. I think you're going to see them they're going to probably overachieve in April. So it's A's or nothing here for me, and I like it on the run line plus 1.5.
Like the way you broke that down, Trig. Thanks for that, guys. And he's talking about the plus 1.5 here. Of course, if the Tampa Bay Rays, just a reminder out there, if you're new to betting baseball, if they are up by 1 run, they're not going to bat there in the bottom of the ninth. Thought Trig brought up a great point there to take the plus 1.5 on the A's value anyway. We get Tony, interested in your thoughts here. Montez versus McClanahan, A's versus the Rays in Tampa tonight.
Well, I find the Rays pretty interesting. I don't know about you guys, but they have some injuries to a part of their team that is the lifeblood, and that's the pitching staff. But they're still 4-1, if I'm not mistaken, coming in today. Is that right? 4-1, leading the East, and Yankees, Blue Jays, obviously, are going to be the two teams that people will be watching in this division. I didn't believe the Rays. I thought the Rays sold off some pieces, but long story short, I don't expect them to be there at the end of the year. Of course, they always surprise me, or typically they surprise me. So Patina didn't fare very well. Tomorrow, minus 200. Now, not today, but so much. I'm looking ahead, and Rasmussen is basically a 2-1 favorite over, as Trig just explained. I wouldn't sleep completely on the A's. He may be correct. They may be the worst team in baseball at the end of the season. I thought they're one of two teams in the league that essentially already took a dive before the season even started. They sold everything off, and they're going to rebuild. So, along with the Baltimore Orioles, who are still rebuilding 20-some years later. I don't know how long it's been, but in this game, I'm nowhere near this game unless I'm on the dog tonight, which would be not the Rays.
Okay, Tony, good stuff. And yes, the Rays are 4-1 on the season. You said they might not be there at the end of the season. Tony, who's your pick to win the AL East at this point?
Well, I mean, Toronto was my pick, but I think that's everybody's pick at this point in time. I think they have better pitching than the Yankees. I think they're hitting the ball better than the Yankees. They're younger. They can make some mistakes, Drew, but in the end, it's very difficult. I don't know about you guys. It's very difficult for me to even rely on a Yankees team that just something in the water there. They cannot stay healthy. They can't stay healthy. I don't care who's in a free agent contract or at least in a contract year for this Yankees team. They can't be trusted for a full 160 or whatever's left, 155 games.
Yeah, there are a lot of station-to-station lineup, if you will, talking about the Yankees. However, good segue here, bringing up the Blue Jays and the Yankees. Our next game, Tony Finn, we get Berrios on the hill for Toronto, the former first-rounder from Puerto Rico, versus Garrett Cole. His first start, He gave up 3 runs in 4 innings. Berrios got knocked around in his first start, so kind of a tricky handicap in that aspect in terms of going after the starting pitchers here in the Bronx. But tonight, talk about possibly the top 2 teams in the AL East here, possible playoff matchup as well. A big one, arguably the game of the night here, Tony. What are you liking, Jays and Yanks tonight?
It's always going to be interesting when the Jays and Yanks can get together, I guess. But I mean, how many times will Toronto not bring their offense on a basis? Again, they're very young, but the Jays, only had, I think I read something this morning where they only had 6 hard hit balls against Cortez and the 4 relievers. And Cortez is an interesting piece, a different topic, a different time. But in this game, at this point in time, as long as the Jays are not a huge number, no matter where they are, they're a play on for me for the most part, simply because of their offense. I think they can get through whatever staff, whatever bullpen, whatever pieces of the bullpen, should I say, that they bring to the mound can be supplemented by what they can do at the plate. So in this situation tonight, again, another dog. I'm on the visitor again tonight. I don't know about you guys.
Okay. Well, Trig, let's hear what you got. Yankees and Blue Jays tonight, man. What are you liking?
I'd actually be on the other side here, and I'll try to make my case. First of all, Garrett Cole minus 160 at home is not something you're going to get very often. And I think I wouldn't read in too much to him struggling with the Red Sox the first time out, because he does struggle with the Red Sox, and it's a team that sees him a ton. Now, you could make the case that the Jays see him a lot as well, but the Jays have not had the success the Red Sox have had against him. You go back to last year, Cole against the Jays, 3.72 ERA, 2.34 batting average against. The year before, which is that fake 2020 season, that's why I break them up, because I do think that needs to be, the asterisk needs to be there. The Jays didn't do anything against Cole. 1.29 ERA, 1.67 batting average against. So maybe a little bit better. The Jays, they haven't hit really in this series. They didn't hit their way to a win in the first game, and they didn't hit certainly last night. So Cole at home in a bounce back spot is appealing to me. Ultimately, that's just not my style really, to lay -160, -165 in games, especially when I do like the Blue Jays. So just to go back to your question to Tony, by process of elimination, I kind of like the Blue Jays to win this division as well, just because I see flaws with the Red Sox, Yankees, and Rays are in trouble if they end up having injuries to their pitching. They'll be in trouble this year. But they, like Tony said, I couldn't agree more. They always find a way. That team just finds a way to take guys that you wouldn't think and turn them into division-winning teams. But back to this game, the Yankees, they lead the league right now in bullpen ERA, 0.99. You get Cole at home. The Yankees pen, which in right now is probably better than the Jays, although the Jays have a pretty elite bullpen as well. So it's a fine line here. But if I'm looking to bet this game, I actually think you're getting a bargain with Cole at home. It's a spot where I would look to the Yankees and Garrett Cole. Barrios, he does give up the long ball. That's one other thing I wanted to add here. 22 homers and 32 starts last year. And then his last two full seasons, 26 homers and 32 starts in 2019, 25 homers and 32 starts in 2018. If the Yankees, the way they're going to score this year is probably the long ball, could be a decent matchup. So Yanks are nothing here for me.
Okay, looking towards the Yanks in tonight's AL East matchup from Adam Trigger. Guys, got a question here. First off, shout out to the chat box. Everybody joining us live now. Feel free to fire out what you're looking to bet tonight. And if you're liking the content, please smash the like button. But also to the people watching on replay. Guys, we're going live here about 2 o'clock Eastern each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, breaking down the games. And feel free to reply below in the reply section on the YouTube channel. Couple of comments from yesterday's show. First off, Ryan saying Kikuchi's velocity might be down a little bit, something to watch out for. Thanks for that, Ryan. Brent in the house as well. We also have a question here from Harry West. I guess we can start with you, Trig, in terms of how much are you factoring in the DH now in the National League into your handicap? How much do you think it matters in totals betting? Because one of our friends, I know Tony Finn and Gabe Morency there are good friends. He pointed out something on Twitter in terms of the DH in the National League actually starting off very, very cold. I think they were, 2 for their first 20, something of that nature. And he was making the case of, hey, we should just have pitchers there, if they're going to be this cold. But interested in how it's affecting your handicap early on in the National League, Trig.
I to be honest with you, it hasn't. Not a ton. Full game unders have been kind of ruined by the extra innings rule. I find myself not willing to bet them as much in the past because you're only putting yourself in danger, kind of, right? Like you can't. There's no way for your bet to get better on a full game under. You bet a full game over, you get extra innings, and all of a sudden you've got 5 runs. So I've gone away from totals for more so than I have in years past. So to me, it hasn't really factored in huge because I don't really know how to quantify that as much when it comes to betting the side. I guess the one area that I would look potentially is there's not that, maybe there's not that free out anymore at the bottom of the order that NL pitchers have been able to kind of bank on for years to get out of a jam. So I might sort of take it into consideration with an NL guy that's had sort of fringe numbers, but other than that, tough to quantify for me. So I don't really know how much stock I can put into it.
Okay, and some other people chiming in here. Rara, to your point in terms of betting the Yankees tonight, Cole is 5-1 when starting against Toronto with an ERA of 3.33, a WHIP of 1.01. Thanks for that, Rara. Paco Healy in the house saying Tijuana Tony. Tony, what about your thoughts here on the DH in the National League and how it's affected your handicapping early on in the season?
Well, it hasn't affected at all. I mean, let's make an assumption that the books are sharp as the sharp groups betting into those books. It's all baked in. Now there's going to be situation. It's situational for me, just like it is in the American League. Who's pitching? Who's the DH? Is the DH a position for a team that's platooned based on matchups, et cetera, et cetera? But in truth, guys, it makes things a lot simpler. The one adjustment I think early on will be player props. Make sure you know the managers of the National League, which ones are old school and like the tradition of making double switches, et cetera, and those that are basically in today's baseball, which is pitch for strikeouts and hit for home runs. And in that case, I just don't see a big difference. It's not going to make a big difference in my handicapping unless I've been so bad, guys, that I need to step back and reevaluate.
Okay, fair enough, Tony. And guys, again, we're going to try to have more interaction this year, so feel free to reply below on the YouTube channel, and I'll ask away here, all the handicappers that come onto the show. So any handicapping questions, any game questions, things of that nature, all welcome. Plus your picks, where you agree with us, where you disagree with us. We have Jeff saying the idea of a pitch clock he wants to throw up. That's going to be interesting. I guess we got a full year to break that one down, as well as what's that? Oh, next year we're having the shift banned, I believe, or at least talked about being banned. That's going to be a wild one. But again, we have 1 year, and also the balanced scheduling. Each team is going to play each team starting next year, so you're not going to have in division, 18 to 19 games against your division foes. So those three we have all summer to break down. So we can break that down on later shows. But we got one more game before best bets here, and it's a good one. Milwaukee Brewers and the Baltimore Orioles. Trig, come to you first with Corbin Burns commanding a -170 price tag, actually as high as -180, total of 8. John Means, the lefty, going for the Orioles, former 11th rounder out of West Virginia, and Corbin Burns, the former 4th rounder, the former St. Mary's Gale here, getting the start. Of course, one of the best pitchers in baseball. But interested in your thoughts here? Brew Crew versus the O's, Trig.
Drew, I have a bunch of thoughts on this game, so I'm just going to kind of give them all out, and we'll see what it leads to here. I had a best bet 2 nights ago on the Orioles, which cashed, and once again, they could not hit a left-handed pitcher, and now they've got to go up against John Means. So that seems to me like it's a good matchup for a team in the Brewers that I think could be the overvalued team in the month of April. We talked about the A's being that team that's kind of undervalued. The Brewers feel to me like they just don't have it all right now, and they're probably the team that goes off at some point later in the season. But right now, the Brewers are a fade for me, especially against the lefty, the caliber of John Means. Now, do I want to fade Corbin Burns here? I don't know, because he had a bad start in his first start, so he might have a little bit of an overreaction. And he's going against an Orioles team that's barely seen him. And Corbin Burns is not the kind of guy that I want to go against with a team that doesn't know him. The Cubs were able to knock him around a little bit, but the Cubs have seen him a bunch. The Orioles haven't. And you get outside the top 4 or 5 guys in this Orioles lineup, and it's a lineup that's could be pretty overmatched against a guy the caliber of Corbin Burns. So I wanted to make a case for Orioles plus 1.5, which is still the way I would bet the side in this game, because you're getting the free run at -110. I noticed the first 5 under here was 3.5, which is, man, that's awfully low. Not a ton of room for error there. Pitching matchup shapes up. There might not be much hitting going on in the first 5 innings with the Brewers lineup struggling the way they are against lefties, and Corbin Burns' potential to just wipe this Orioles lineup out. So that leads me to the full game under, which I just said, they're tough to back, but it's under 8 now, and that shows a little value to me. I wouldn't touch it at under 7.5, but now that you can basically get it under 8 at -110 without, having to pay juice. The Orioles bullpen is 5th in the league through the first week of the season, 2.22 ERA. The Brewers bullpen is as good as you're going to find this year. They're already off to a tremendous start with their relievers, and they might actually have the best pen, at least the best front end of a bullpen in the league this year. So, man, if you do the math and the over, it's 3.5 for the first 5 innings, but you're going to give me an over 8 or an under 8 on the full game. 2 guys like Means, I expect to go deeper. Burns, I expect to be far better. Orioles bullpen metrics are actually, last year going into about July, the Orioles bullpen was actually great. And they just got totally overworked and had a terrible August and a terrible September. They're off to a good start this year. So this might be a good under 8. It might, Orioles plus 1.5 shows some value. So that's how I would look at it. If you want the side, Orioles plus 1.5, or I'd look at the under.
Good stuff,
for the full game.
And Tony, oh, okay. Yeah, Tony, coming to you next. I had the under circled as well, Tony. Corbin, Burns on the hill. I would look for him to bounce back. And John Means, to Trig's point, has looked pretty decent. 4 innings, 5 strikeouts in his first start, only 1 walk. And to Trig's even more important point here, versus lefties, the Brew Crew, just a weighted runs created number of 84. That's bottom 10 in baseball. Shorter sample size, but still, sometimes early in the season, these short sample size you kind of need to pay attention to, because they can make you some money, man. So I was looking towards the under. The thing that kept me off of it, Tony, looks like double-digit winds out to center, seeing 12 miles per hour. We know Camden Yards can be a hitter's kind of paradise, and it's a warmer night, seeing mid-80s. So that's what kept me off of it. But I am with Trig. If you made me bet it, I'd be on the under. What are your thoughts here, Tony?
To address the weather comments there, I'm not showing double-digit winds out, but I am showing anywhere between 5 and 8 miles an hour out. Early on, actually coming in, another switch tonight out, and you're right. I think 80, 82 degrees at first pitch. So a warm night on the East Coast there, at least in Baltimore. But I'm with you guys. First off, in the 5 games that Baltimore's played, only 2 have been at home. The 2 against Milwaukee here, 3 were in Tampa and Pittsburgh. But not one of the games have, other than Milwaukee, the 5-4 loss with when Hader got the save, the second save of the season yesterday. There hasn't been a game that's exceeded 8 runs. 5-4 yesterday. Before that, 2-0, 8-0, 5-3, 2-1. Milwaukee, if you can carry over Milwaukee's numbers, their metrics against left-handers from last season, then they can't hit left-handers. They were woeful. They were horrible. They're miserable. I think Burns is a candidate for a bounce back here. The Baltimore lineup struck out almost 31% of the time so far this season, posted a 3.22 slugging against right-handed pitching. Again, like you mentioned, small sample size, right? Means has an issue with long balls, but the Brewers showed me very little pop in their bats so far. And I don't have I want your assessment on this, both of you, really quickly before we get off there. Is that left field move at Camden Yards, the fence being moved back, is it going to make a difference? I'm with you both. Under 8 in this game.
Yeah, I think it was 26 feet they moved the left field fence back, if I got that correct. It's something, I put in my notes, Tony, in my betting notes that I try to go over every morning and just reminders. And so, I think it could matter. A deep fly ball to left field that used to be a home run, there's going to be a few of them that are now outs. I don't know. What are you thinking, Trey?
Yeah.
Drew, I think the strongest wind in this game, that's where I think the wind is going to come, because I think we're going to see a lot of swings and misses at both of these pitchers. As far as the fence is concerned, I don't know. I mean, maybe it might mean a couple more. There might be scenarios where balls that would have been caught last year end up leaving the park. But I would. It's hard. Again, it's tough to quantify. I would lean more on my assessments of pitching and hitting in that game than I would say the fence got moved back. In this game, I'm not worried about wind blowing out, and I'm not worried about the fence, because like Tony said, I don't know that the Brewers are gonna make a ton of hard contact off Means, and I don't know that anyone in the Orioles lineup is squaring up Corbin Burns with the how little exposure they've had to him. So I don't know where I don't know where the 8 runs come from in this. I guess I would say I don't know where the 9 runs come in this game. So under 8 seems to be the way I would probably go here.
Okay. Yep. Not going to argue with a matchup handicap over, say, the trends angle. So I like it, Trig. Tony, last question to you real quickly before we get to best bets. You bring up the difference in what you're seeing in the wind and what I'm seeing. One thing coming into this season that's kind of thrown me off is daily baseball with their wind metrics and their park factors. It discontinued what they're doing. So it's kind of thrown me in a little loop here, Tony. I'm now using something different in terms of it's called ballpark pal, but I'd love to kind of compare what I'm using to what you're using and seeing what's accurate here in the next couple days, and then use the more accurate one. You know what I mean? What do you suggest out there to the sports bettors?
I use 2 or 3 different ones, but I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you've I use some analytical sites. Swish Analytics, have you been to their site? Check they give some different numbers on umpires that I like, that you would get traditional stuff that you may get from a Covers or a CBS, or which will give you just wins, losses, overs, unders. They break it down a little bit more on percentages, and you're able to compare them. But that Swish Analytics, they have a weather system that I like a lot. It breaks it down by hour, et cetera, et cetera. That Weather Channel, typical traditional weather areas. Drew, here real quickly, and I'll finish. And that is, if you just go to a city, some of these major metropolitan areas are pretty big, and the weather that's on the south side of Chicago is different than it's on the north side. So you really need to look up the weather and give somebody who's focused and basically pinpointed the stadium itself.
Right. Yeah, that's something that it makes it a little bit difficult in baseball, whereas like college football or the NFL, you can just kind of put in the city and get a feel for it. With baseball, you got to know, yes, the weather of the city and the part of the city, but you also got to know which way the park is facing. So it makes it a little bit trickier out there if you're betting totals in MLB. So no, thanks for that, Tony, for sure. And huge shout out again, guys, to the chat box, Jeff, Rara, Abel, all you guys in the house and girls. Thanks for joining us wherever you're watching from in the country. I know we got a couple people from Hawaii, a lot of people on the East Coast, Las Vegas represented as well. So love to hear where you're watching from. But time to start final thoughts and best bets for the show. Check out Adam Trigger on Twitter at Top Flight SI. I believe a 5% play up for tonight at MLB 4-1 on the season. So check them out here. Half off the plays. Last day to kind of get down here on the half off special. But Trig, throw it over to you. Final thoughts for the show and a best bet if you got one.
5% play goes tonight. Like it quite a bit. Half off, final day, so take advantage of that. Best bet's going to be the Yankees. Again, I just can't get over Cole at this price, and we broke this down, so I'll go with a little weather angle here in best bets. I was outside earlier. I'm a little bit north of the city, a couple hours, but it's 70 degrees here right now in Schenectady, New York on April 13th. Pretty much the same weather down in the Bronx, and it's going to be like 65 degrees at game time with a nice little breeze there. So for a team that kind of needs to hit the ball out of the ballpark, that being the Yankees, kind of some like summer weather in April, where a lot of times April is at the stadium can be pretty cold. So, you might see the ball travel a little bit tonight in Yankee Stadium, where it maybe hasn't on some of the colder days leading up to it, because the other day it was like 40 degrees. So a big jump in the weather. And Berrios, the one way you're going to get him, his numbers are really good, but the way you're going to get him is probably the home run. I referenced it earlier in the show. He is prone to giving up the homer. So, a couple long balls for the Yankees, and if Garrett Cole has the bounce back that I think he could here against the Blue Jays team that he's been pretty solid against, and that hasn't really hit in this series yet, Yankees, I feel like they get it done at home tonight. I'd probably lay the minus 160. Not going to be a best bet for me because of the price, but it does feel like a bargain on Garrett Cole.
Okay, and Tony, coming to you next. Tijuana, Tony by some, Tony Finn to others. Bounce back mode, but he did start off the season, 6-0 in MLB, Tony, I believe. So have at it, man. Final thoughts for the show. And okay, 6-1 on the season. Final thoughts.
6-1. I lost last night. Yeah, we're gonna go to the Chicago White Sox, and the Seattle Mariners. And I'm here's from my assessment. Listen, if you guys look at what this game opened at, depending on your shop, whether it be in Vegas here or whether it was offshore, and the one you pay attention to and trust, Robbie Ray opened up as a small favorite, I think $1.15. And if you look at the number now, you're basically seeing the money coming in on the White Sox, on a guy that isn't 25% the pitcher he was when he won the Cy with the Houston with the Houston Astros in Keuchel. In fact, look at Keuchel's numbers last year, and they're not. You can't back Keuchel tonight against Robbie Ray at this, especially at this price. Give me Keuchel at plus 200 at home against a left-hander, then I might consider it. But in long things being now short, that is that it looks to me, guys, that from this point forward, when the White Sox now for a couple of years, they've been like an automatic, right, against left-handed pitching. This is Robbie Ray's numbers against the White Sox are terrific. They're terrific. Slashing 152, 217, 437 with a slugging of 220. That's his numbers, and it's not just 9 at bats. So tonight, minus 115 on Robbie Ray and the Seattle Mariners over the Southsiders in Chicago.
Guys, for my best bet, don't like doing it, but I am up against Trig. Got the Toronto Blue Jays plus 154 right now. Seems to be the high water mark. So, hey, risk 100 to win 154. Big underdog. Really the reason why I think actually both starting pitchers do bounce back. Both Garrett Cole for the Yankees and Berrios for the Blue Jays had kind of rough first starts here, but particularly for Berrios, his velocity was up, and that's the thing I look for more in these early starts. So I would think he kind of bounces back to his form. Plus the fact Yimi Garcia, Jordan Romero, the two back-end guys in the Jays bullpen ready to rock tonight. I think we get the better offense. And at this price point, I mean, the Yankees got to win this game over 62% of the time. And looking at the matchup, I don't think that that's properly priced here. So the Blue Jays with Berrios on the hill, don't think we're going to get him a lot. Over plus 150. Big dog is barking in the Bronx tonight. I'm going with the Toronto Blue Jays for my best bet. That's Blue Jays plus 154. Trig on the other side of it, Yankees minus 160. We get Tony Finn, Mariners plus 110 on the dogs. So one favorite, two dogs there for you. For Tony Finn, Adam Trigger, I am Drew Martin. Guys, check them both out. Plays up for tonight. Trig with a 5%, half off. So wagertalk.com, Adam Trigger's where you can find them. Best of luck with your bets. Please smash that like button. Feel free to comment below. We'll talk tomorrow, same time, same place. Thanks for tuning in.
The NBA playoffs start April 16th, and with the play-in games, there are now 20 teams vying for the NBA championship. The 2022 playoffs give you up to 9 weeks of action, with game number 1 of the NBA Finals not even tipping off until June 2nd. Last year, the NBA playoff package was listed for $249, but we've made it even better this year by lowering the entire 9-week playoff package to $199. While the early bird catches the worm may be a cliche, but it holds true to this incredible offer. The first 99 customers can use the coupon code FIRST99 and save an additional $50 off the playoff package, dropping the price down to $149. That's right, 9 weeks of NBA action for $149. That's under $17 per week. Act fast to use code FIRST99, as only the first 99 customers can use this code.